Okay, I'm going to keep this very, very short because it's like latest news in CSS, so maybe 5 minutes is good enough. Full screen. So, biggest thing that came out in March is this thing called Houdini. What it is, it's a new W3C task force. And it's very significant because it actually introduces a new set of APIs that will give developers the power to extend CSS. Because a lot of times CSS specifications are updated faster than browser implementers can actually push it into the browser. So you will end up using, like, the latest thing is grid layout, but it's not supported by anyone. So what Houdini is trying to push for is that it's going to give developers the ability to extend CSS and hook into the CSS Object Model. So there's this Google developer called Philip Walton who wrote a very in-depth article, so it's linked here. It's called Houdini, maybe the most exciting development in CSS you've never heard of. Can read that if you're interested. Next big thing, Safari.
The idea of Houdini, if I'm right, is it's kind of like if you're writing ES6 in JavaScript, no browser supports it. So you babel it into the browser, but it's more advanced than that. So it's pretty awesome. Instead of sitting there and waiting 5 years for the grid model to be supported, you can just go straight into it, assuming this actually gets adoption, of course. But yeah, onward.
Yeah, so Safari 9.1 and the iOS version got released. So now we have support for picture element, a few other things, and the most significant CSS related things is CSS Variables, which is great. And they also added support for some for the all property keyword, revert and unset keywords, a bunch of font related feature settings, and also the wheel change property. We may cover the wheel change property in future, but basically what it does is you will want to use this if you do a lot of CSS animations. So you can actually read the update notes, also linked here. Another thing is many of you may use a reset or you use normalize.css, and it hasn't been updated for years, but it was just updated like earlier this month. So you can consider updating your normalized file if you do use that. Lastly, a couple of CSS specs were updated in March. So Flexbox is now a candidate recommendation. I guess most people don't really care about how the specs are written, but basically it goes through, so someone will propose it, then you'll go into a working draft, and then they'll discuss and they'll raise issues here and there, they'll refine it, and then it'll go into candidate recommendation before it's accepted and browsers actually implement it. So now Flexible Box Model has been updated, it's now been upgraded to CR status, which is great. The newer ones are all those at the bottom, which is the round display. That came about because of wearables. So I know that the Apple Watch is square, but there are a couple of devices that are round, and there's actually a CSS spec for round displays. Yeah. So as we mentioned about Houdini just now, there's a CSS Object Model. It's pretty technical, but if you're interested, the specification is actually reasonably English, so you can read if you're interested. Scroll snap points is actually, I think, what would be more interesting to most people. It's basically scroll jacking, which some people don't like, but now instead of doing it in JavaScript, you have it native with CSS, but as of now it's still in a working draft status, but it should be coming soon because quite a lot of people are looking into this. So CSS scroll snap points. So these are just a few of the newer and latest things that are happening right now. I think I'm 5 minutes. Done.
Yay.
Moving on with life.
Right, I'm going to jump to my laptop. That's the promise.